of the high school football season, shockingly, is upon us. Nice to have Chris Boyle back this week, who went to a wedding apparently in Europe. So good to have you back.
Minnesota's in Europe now? Is this?
I don't know. I've never
quite
been.
a thing?
I don't go to Minnesota. It seems too cold. You said it was like 40 degrees one day.
One of the days it was pretty cold, but on wedding day it was 61 and sunny. It was gorgeous.
Well, we're both back on Friday night after a rare week off. I know Ken.
This was our bye week.
Exactly. We're back, and as Mike and Mike would say, better than ever. Fun week, and it starts a day early, Thursday Night Football. Atlantic and Astronaut, University and Lyman. Mm-hmm. Big game for Atlantic tomorrow night, or I guess when you guys see this tonight.
It's easily their biggest game of the year. So at least so far, they've started out 3-0. They expected to get off to a good start, and this game has huge ramifications for their push for the playoffs. If you look at the standings in Region 3, 4A, right now Astronauts sits 7th, and Atlantic sits 8th. The top 6 teams make the playoffs in each region. This win would go a long way for Atlantic. All 3 of their wins have been the 35-point Category 4 variety. This would be their first opportunity to really pick up a signature win and boost their playoff chances. They may have Ty Barong back. I talked to him a little bit earlier today.
This was the date he's always been targeting, right?
Correct. This was the target date. I spoke with him. I spoke with a couple of the coaches. He's a game-time decision with that knee injury. He has returned to practice. We'll see if he's out there. Just a huge game for them. Astronaut as well. It's a big test for them. They're 3-1. They're coming off of a 35-0 win over Seabreeze last week. Their rushing attack is averaging over 260 yards a game. It's led by Jaden Dollard, who's run for 7 touchdowns this year. Defensively, the key guy for Astronaut so far has been Lewis Arnold III, who has 10 tackles for loss and 5 sacks on the season. This is going to be a really interesting game. I think you really need to see Atlantic take this game. If they have any chance of making the playoffs, it's going to have to start tomorrow night. And meanwhile, you got a district showdown, like you mentioned, between University and Lyman. Yeah. 2 teams that are kind of out of the district race right now at 0-2 each. This is an opportunity for them to get their seasons back on track. University is going to have to slow down Nate Jefferson. He's got 22 Division I offers as a wide receiver with more than 700 all-purpose yards already this season for Lyman.
That was a handful. That was a mouthful. That right there is more analysis than I gave combined last week. God, thank you. You are back. Going on to Friday, big game on Friday, DeLand and Spruce Creek. Spruce Creek handily won this game last year. In the last couple years, balance of power has shifted, though. DeLand rebounded loudly last week against Pine Ridge. Spruce Creek coming off a good game against
Lake Wales.
Lake Wales, where a missed extra point was the difference in that one. Can Spruce Creek hang with them here and maybe get an upset and really send that district into a mess?
It would be something if they do. I do think this game is going to be very tight, especially in the early going. You look at Spruce Creek; they've given everybody everything they've had this year. Yeah. They held. It was 14-14 against Sandalwood 2 weeks ago. Last week they took Lake Wales down to the wire, lost by a missed extra point. It's always a heartbreaking kind of thing. Yeah. Emotionally, it'd be interesting to see where Spruce Creek stands. If that game's going to be something that they can rally around against a good Lake Wales team that's just outside the top 10 in 6A, or whether it's sort of the wheels starting to fall off from that point on. DeLand, as you mentioned, kind of ran away with it against Pine Ridge last week. Deontay Marks has been the top receiver around in the county this year. He's been almost unstoppable. Right. So it'll be a really good test for the secondary of Spruce Creek, which does have some quality players in it. Deshari Keith and
really
Trayvon Gillens. Yeah, Keith is having a great year with 3 interceptions already under the year.
You mentioned Sandalwood, Flagler, Palm Coast, and Sandalwood. I believe this is FPC's first district game. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
So FPC opening district play, looking to defend their district title. Sandalwood, you mentioned... I feel like Sandalwood's always going to give you a good game.
Yeah, Sandalwood is averaging over 400 yards of offense as a team. They've taken the ball away 14 times, so this is going to be a game in which Flagler's really going to have to be careful. Yep. They will hurt you. There's as much talent in the secondary as Sandalwood as there is for Flagler as well. You look at Antonio Clary, who's committed to Virginia, among the leaders in that secondary. Flagler certainly well aware. They're coming off of a good performance against a solid Palatka team last week. Game they kind of ran away with early. They know that they have to get off on the right foot. Right now, Sandalwood, if you look at the regional standings, they're second in the region on points.
Wow.
And Flagler just bumped up to 8th because there was a mathematical error in the Seminole, I think it was Seminoles standings yesterday. So it actually bumped DeLand up to 6th and put Flagler from 10th to 8th. So right now, all 3 of those teams would make the playoffs if the season ended today. It certainly doesn't, and I don't think 3 teams are getting into the postseason from this district. So really, this is a pivotal game for Flagler to get off on the right foot and to get their first really signature win of the 2018 season.
Finally, Mainland and Daytona. Mainland, it certainly seems like after a couple weeks of what's going on, they have turned it around big time and I know Dr. Phillips isn't what they were. Still an impressive win in your home opener though last week.
22-0, yeah. And I don't think anyone on Mainland panicked. I think you talking to those guys even after the loss to DeLand, which was their first in the local area in almost 6 years. Losing to Bob Jones in a heartbreaking fashion the week after that, it really didn't seem like anyone was overly concerned. It seemed like they had their bearings about them. They felt confident in this group, and you look at the last 3 games, and those results have just fell right in line with that. DeAndre McMillan's continued his terrific senior season. Yeah. Last week, the hero was Brandon Whaley out of the secondary. He had 3 interceptions.
A ball hawk out there.
He had 3 interceptions, and 1 went back for a touchdown. He deserves certainly a mention for the way he played last week.
Yep.
And everything really has started to go the right direction for Mainland. They're healthy, they're feeling confident, and they're entering a district in which they haven't lost a game since 2012. So you look at it, everything's kind of falling into place right now. Daytona's coming in off of a couple of really tough losses. One to DeLand, a game they fought hard in, and one against New Smyrna where they were down 21 and came back to tie it, only to watch Zajon Hudson go for an 84-yard touchdown 1 play later. So Daytona's had 2 weeks to think it over. They're going to come in rested. You'll have to monitor Dylan Torres, who kind of left that game for a bit with an ankle injury, their senior quarterback. But other than that, Daytona should be game for a fight here early in this contest.
Quickly, some quick hitters. I know that the only other 2 local teams playing each other is that the Pine Ridge Seabreeze game. 2 teams desperately need a win. And probably this is the game where if they're going to get it, it's going to be Friday.
And I think both teams know that. I think both teams understand if they're going to get a win, this is maybe their best opportunity. Points have been at a premium for both of these teams. Look for them to throw out everything in the playbook to make sure that this is going to be probably the most desperate game of the week between those 2 teams. New Smyrna Beach goes to Lee. Certainly a game worth monitoring. They're coming off of a bye as well, and they're right now in playoff position in the 8th spot in Region 4-6A.
Where is Lee?
It's sort of south of Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's right around Jacksonville. I don't know exactly where it is, but It's in the Jacksonville area.
I don't know why I asked that. I don't know where you
geography test.
But we all know I'm not great with geography. Week 6 upon us, the mid-season, or the halfway point. Hopefully we're going a little further than just 6 more weeks. Hopefully we can make it go 8 or 9 more weeks.
A lot of teams that are in the playoffs right now.
Land and FPC, I'm talking to you guys. Hopefully you can extend our season, Mainland as well. A lot to shake out, though. Districts just getting underway. Obviously some big games this week. Chris is going to be up in Palm Coast. That Sandalwood FPC showdown. I'll have you covered for the Spruce Creek DeLand showdown. I'm Zach Denis, Chris Boyle. Week 6 upon us. Follow us Friday night.